Hey everyone, this is Oscar from Underdog, and do you ever encounter the problem that your electronic beats sometimes feel a bit stale, a bit lifeless, a bit computery? Let me show you 3 ways today that you can inject some soul and some life into those beats. As a case study, I want to use an example of a song that I just released last Thursday. It's a Face the Sun song, and it's a collaboration with Guy with his blue harp. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. First off, I was programming some drums. The idea was to lay a foundation onto which later on we could add more harmonic and interesting elements, but that the rhythmical structure was already there for us to work with. But I wanted this beat to stay simple yet very rich and lush in ear candy and in organic texture. And so to add in that organic texture, there was this Bonobo reference track that I was really vibing with at the time. It was called Otomo, and it goes a little bit like this. And you hear how this track has all this delicate little real percussion in the highs? And so that was my tip number 1. Bring in organic sounds that were recorded with a real microphone, because our ear relates to those in a very different way than it does to synthesized sounds. Synthesized sounds are all very well and good, but at the end of the day, we are organic creatures, we are biological creatures of flesh and blood, and we live in a real environment, and so we like picking up details of real textures. And so to harness this power, I recommend that you use the techniques that I explained in my crispy claps and ear candy videos, where you just add in little percussion sounds from around your environment, wherever you can find them. For example, the rain stick of my flatmates.
It's more powerful than yoga.
And when you sprinkle that into your composition, you're going to get something that's a lot more ear-opening and heart-opening. This is the beat that I ended up with, and this is what we had as a starting point when Guy came to Brussels with his big old blue harp. And that brings me to advice number 2, which is collaborate with your friends. Get out of your own head. One of the reasons why your beats might start to sound stale is just because it's you and your computer staring at each other for way too long. And once you actually show your beats to someone else and you get them to vibe with it, it's going to become obvious what's working and what doesn't work. Here's an example of us jamming over that drum loop that I was just talking about. Shall we just jam for a while?
Yeah, let's go.
Very cool, very cool. I love where this is going. Now let me share with you a little secret. I actually have tremendous difficulty and tremendous anxiety about letting anyone else hear the music that I make when I'm in the same room with them. I hate the situation where someone's next to me, I hit play, and together we're listening to the thing that I've made, because immediately once I've hit play, the things that were not good enough in the music become obvious to me in a way that wasn't obvious to me when I was just on my own. And the same goes for when it actually does work. When listening together, it actually becomes very obvious what people are responding to and what are the things that are great and that should be emphasized about the music. When one of my collaborators like Anton or Guy or Sarah, when I see them go, "Oh yeah," and I know that it's good and I don't need to question myself at all. I just need to clarify the thing that made them go, "Oh yeah." And then it also becomes much easier when I'm alone in the studio, because I can just ask myself the question, would Guy or whoever vibe with this? And if the answer is yes, then I know that I have some more confidence, or if the answer is no, then I know I've got some more work to do. So try this. Find yourself a friend, a supportive friend, someone who wants to build you up, and show them your music. I guarantee you that the moment that you hit play, things are going to start to become much more obvious about what's working and what's not working, in a way that it wasn't obvious to you before. Speaking of getting lost in your own mind, If you are finding yourself getting lost in the YouTube rabbit hole of endless tutorials that have no clear structure, go follow my Foundations of Electronic Music course to get a structured path to actually becoming better at music. You can sign up for the Foundations, which is for beginners, but now I'm also working on a Foundations Level 2, which is supposed to take intermediate level producers to becoming advanced producers. Sign up for the newsletter and leave a comment if you think that's something for you.
Underdog.
Now, tip number 3 to inject some life into your composition is to humanize your lead element, your lead instrument, make it human, not programmed in a sequencer. In your composition, there's a lot of different elements and they often all relate to the grid somehow if you're working on a computer. And very often, most instruments will follow the grid very, very closely. But humans are a bit more sloppy than that. Even when a human plays almost perfectly, they're gonna have minor inconsistencies in where they fall compared to the grid. And again, because we're creatures of flesh and blood, we pick up on that. We can feel that there's a human on the other side of the signal chain. So if you can ensure that your electronic substructure of your track, which is all very grid-based, can be complemented by one strong voice that's somewhere in the middle of your track, people will attach onto it in a totally different and deeper way. And if you're not a particularly talented instrumentalist, don't worry. You can always do multiple takes and takes and takes again, and then you can even quantize things a bit to ensure that everything lines up a bit better with your intention.
Maybe a bit too messy, no? What do you think?
Well, I think the slight sloppiness can be fixed, like they can be quantized to a point.
Wow.
And I think that's there.
What?
Yeah.
Whoa!
Oh, but music is so easy, Oscar. Yeah, I know. Then once the performance is captured, don't hesitate to also apply all your other electronic music techniques like delays and reverbs on there. As long as there was this organic, humanized, soulful element at some step of the signal chain, that's going to communicate to the listener at the end. What I would do is I would grab a plugin called Portal and put some effects on there like this. See what I mean? Like,
And I loved how we just, we jammed to the beats.
yeah.
And then we figured out, oh, that sounds good. And then by just improvising, instead of like, it doesn't come from the rational mind,
No,
it's really coming from intuition. And you try things out and you're like, oh, that sounds good. And then you take that. And I found it super smooth to work with you.
The result of this little collaboration can now be found on Spotify. Thank God I'm getting a little bit better at publishing things. The artist's name is Face the Sun and the track title is The Maze. Go stream it and playlist it so it gets some visibility. The artwork is by Jonathan Lichtveld. The mastering is by Remy Lebos. Leave a comment if you have some ideas on how to inject some organic realness into your productions. And until next time, stay producing, be good to each other, and take care. Bye-bye.